stinging nettles, and you probably know it by reputation. It hurts, and if you get in a patch of these nettles, you can be irritated for several hours. This is extremely tall and very hardy and healthy. Nettles is also good for you. You can take in the spring, you can eat the leaves of the nettles as a green. Later on, the nettles can be collected and dried and used as something that will help allergies. The nettles react in your body just like an antihistamine. They have the same kind of properties, so they're a very, very valuable herb, but just watch out when you're in the woods. I feel it's very important to show you this plant. This is poison hemlock, the same hemlock that killed Socrates, and it has killed other people too. Even survival people in the Air Force have trouble with this plant. And I've touched it. I didn't know what it was at first, and it irritated my skin. And so I know that, well, I know anyway, that this is a very, very dangerous thing. The juice of it was given to Socrates. You have to open up the stem, and the juice of it is what's poisonous. It's very beautiful, and it grows very plentiful, very easily, very plentifully by rivers. And it almost looks like a wild carrot. This particular flower, this is now June, and this particular plant grew from nothing in March to its present huge size, and so it's a prolific thing, and it can take over certain areas. So please watch for this, and don't let your children get it in their mouth. Test it, okay? This is catnip, and it smells wonderful. It tastes good too. It's just like other mints, and this grows wild in our area. Of course, this is excellent for cats. They love it. They'll go out in your garden and eat it if you've got some in your garden. And it's also good for us. It's very soothing to the stomach. It helps gas and colic in young children and old alike. And it will cleanse the tissues of certain kinds of acidity. We use it sometimes to take drugs that have stayed in the body out of the system. So it's a wonderful little herb that you can use and enjoy too. You can use it as a tea or dried encapsulated. Here's the munificent leaves of the thimbleberry. They look like great big maple leaves, but they aren't. And they produce a few little berries, which are quite good. About August, late July, August, they come on. But they're so sparse that they're an awful lot of work to pick. Nevertheless, if you would like to, you can go out in the woods and pick these berries, thimbleberries. The size of these things are just unbelievable. These are called cow parsley, or parsnip, cow parsnip. And I feel sorry for the cow that tries to mow these down. People say that you can eat these, but I don't think that I would want to eat them. They're bitter and very tough. You can cook them down, like you can cook down other greens, but there's so many other wonderful things to eat. I don't want to turn to this right now. Now, and of course it is nutritious, but there's other wonderful things that are nutritious. See the blossoms, the blooms, they look similar to that water hemlock that you just saw, but of course the size is outrageous, and the leaves are very, very different. But nevertheless, I want you to know how to distinguish the two. And these things are very fun to look at. They're so snowberry. It is so common around here. We just have trouble deciding which bush we're going to show you. These little blue or pink blossoms, pink flowers, turn white and are white berries in the fall and hang on the bushes through much of the winter. They say white berries can be poisonous, but these definitely are not. On the other hand, they are not good either. This bush, the leaves of this bush, and to some extent the berries, are good for the cerebral spinal fluid. They cleanse the fluid. And also, they can take away certain kinds of moles in combination with other herbs. So this is an overlooked herb, but I think that Indians used to use this quite a bit. And we need to use this very abundant plant. This spiny herb is called a fiddleneck, and it's prickly and kind of mucilagey too, so it's not particularly pleasant to touch, but it is one of the most building of all the herbs. It's good for a protein-depleted system. It helps start building the body rather than cleansing it. And it should be dried and then powdered and used encapsulated, because I just do not think you can eat it this way. It's very anabolic. It's one of the most anabolic herbs that there is. I think the most anabolic herbs of all that is around here. That means it builds up the system. We have to show you some prickly lettuce or wild lettuce. This is one of the few herbs around here, except for some wild poppies, that is for pain, and it's a very effective pain reliever. The stem is milky, so you can open up and it bleeds out this milky stuff, and it's used usually in liquid form. It's also used in a prominent herb combination along with valerian and capsicum and white willow. Usually there's not a lot of herbs that directly help pain in the herb kingdom, because herbs like to go to the heart of the problem, not just relieve pain. It's very interesting. Here's a wonderful great big bush called high bush cranberry, and this is blossoming right now. It's just starting to die off, but it's so pretty. This is what the leaves look like, so if you ever want to find it in the wild. This bush is good, of course, for the urinary tract, and particularly the kidney, just like our cranberry juice is that we use so often for bladder infection. Only this is stronger. There can be made an infusion, which is like a tea, out of this bush, the leaves and the blossoms of this bush, if you have kidney problems. This spindly flower is a wild mustard, another kind of wild mustard. This is called tansy mustard. And taken internally, the seeds can kill certain kinds of bacteria. So what looks like is nothing is something. In the midst of this lush field, you can see shepherd's purse and some alfalfa and mustard, is some clover. And people use clover for many things, and they've used it traditionally for cancer in England and also in the United States. It is very, very nutritive and can heal different parts of the body. Stone crop, a variety of stone crop. Stone crop grows all over the world and has been used by herbalists for many years, thousands. And it grows in little families on stony, rocky places. It is used for diarrhea in England. I think it cleans the small intestine, and you can get this dried. And of course, it's a rather succulent plant, so you lose some of it if you dry it, but it is a valuable herb. This is a wonderful elderberry bush, and these white or yellowish blossoms all turn into delicious berries in the fall. As you can see, some of the berries have not bloomed yet, And this is already the middle of June, and yet they're still blooming. And so the berries come on at different times. You've heard probably of elderberry wine or elderberry jam or jelly, and here it is. This has been considered a sacred tree, and I really think it is too. I consider it kind of like a tree of perpetual life, or a tree that loves to live and wants to give its life to others, a bush really. The cows love to eat it. The people in England would even consider the roots and the bark medicinal, so they would use the whole tree. We use the blossoms for tea, and then we use the berries later. But the blossoms are for infections of any kind. With peppermint, these kind of blossoms can stop some kinds of pneumonia. They're just wonderful for pneumonia. And then later on, the berries refresh and kind of give a high to the brain. I don't mean in wine, I mean just the way they are. Enjoy this tree. We go from the magnificent to the tiny, but this tiny little herb here is very valuable. You could use it as a ground cover, but it's more valuable internally. That is Yuva ursi. Yuva ursi, or kinnikinick as the Indians call it around here, is wonderful to heal the body. It's also good for strengthening the body, and particularly the musculature, and giving endurance and energy to the body. People have traditionally used this for the urinary tract, and truly it can heal the bladder when there's been a big problem. But more than that, it is one of the great healing herbs. It helps to begin the metabolism of certain amino acids. So what is humble is often very wonderful too. Here we are in another beautiful spot, and this is mock orange. In the beginning of the spring, we see serviceberry dotting the hills. Now we see and smell mock orange. This wonderful plant is a delight to the eye, but also it is helpful to the body. It can arrest cancer, taken as a tea, in the colon, some forms of prostate cancer, and it also helps cancer in the pancreas. So we need to, again, to use this wonderful tree. This is ocean spray. This unassuming but beautiful bush becomes a glory of these blossoms going, kind of spurting down from it. And this is just the beginning of it. This is a bush that people don't know about, but it is like the spark that begins protein metabolism in the liver and throughout the body. And it's very good for the liver. So we can use this herb. And many people have problems with protein metabolism and building their body. We have to show you this. It's nothing much to look at, and it's even kind of ugly, but it's very valuable. This is ephedra. There's many, many species of ephedra, and it grows throughout the world. It's also called Brigham tea in Utah, but again, that's probably a little bit different species. This grows and grows and grows. You can see that here's some old ephedra from last year and how tough and hard it gets to be. Eventually, this will have little yellow blossoms on it, but they're nothing really to look at. It's a very strong herb. It's very, very helpful with the immune system, and it combats allergies very well. And it does not taste bad if you use it as a tea. This beautiful flower is called Farewell to Spring, or Hello Summer, or Summer's Darling, that's it. And truly it is. Today is the first day of summer, and it also is almost the farewell of our videotape. This is extremely valuable for the essay note, which is where the heartbeat begins in the heart, and it feeds the note. It feeds it calcium and other electrical elements that help this. Many people have racing heart, tachycardia, and this is very helpful to many people. And you use the blossoms and the stem of this herb. And with this herb, we end our video presentation. This is called St. John's wort, and it's a special herb to me. I feel like this is the herb that began my healing process. This herb is for parasites traditionally and for lungs, and truly it does both those things. It also lifts the spirit. It is a very strong plant, and it can grow in very dry conditions and keep growing. Later on, these pretty little yellow flowers turn orange, and they remain burnt orange for many months of the winter. And then the same plant emerges from what it was last year. I dry these plants and use them to give to other people that have serious problems that other herbs can't handle. This herb is supposedly not good for people because it supposedly bleaches out cattle's skin, but I've seen no cattle around here that have bleached out skin, and there's an awful lot of St. John's wort, and they seem to like eating it, so I don't believe that old wives' tale. I hope that you've enjoyed our presentation, and I hope that you learn to love these herbs like I do, and know that they're useful and that they can help you, and that it makes life a little bit better to have the abundance of nature at your beck and call. Bye.